Already this year on the Atomic Power Racing Hour, you've seen the tight racing at times turn tumultuous and events filled with stars. Tonight, the series visits the Brockville Speedway, where an afternoon drizzle threatened the running of tonight's show. But with the rain now gone, the focus turns back to racing, at least for the most part. With some teams still in a relaxed state, many more, though, are grinding away to get ready to tackle the beast of the East, a real bear of a racetrack. It's next on the Atomic Power Racing Hour.
Welcome again to the Atomic Power Racing Hour. My name is Rich Fleck, and over the next 60 minutes, we take a look at Go Nuclear Late Model Series competition from the Brockville, Ontario Speedway. It's a tight quarter-mile bull ring that often produces some great racing, and tonight, an extra wrinkle has been thrown into the mix. Mother Nature has been sprinkling just a little bit all afternoon, as it continues to do right now, getting close to race time. And with that, you're going to have very tacky conditions on the clay, and a very different setup that'll have to go into these late models in order to be the fastest at the end of the night. Very good competition throughout the pits. Some big names that run across North America doing this as a professional are included in the pits tonight, along with a lot of competitors that have been here 2 or 3 times in the past and maybe just live an hour down the road. You mix that all together, you got another great night of Go Nuclear Late Model Series competition at a track that, when we talked to the drivers earlier, is often one that they circle on the calendar early in the year.
It's good and bad. It's good because I do know the track, I'm pretty familiar with it, but it sucks because a lot of them are expecting me to do good, so when I don't, it's not very, well, I have done good, I guess, but if I don't, then it's a kind of a disappointment, I guess, for myself, because they kind of all put a pressure on me. I don't really push it on myself, but I am definitely, this weekend, I was definitely looking forward to it more than any races yet so far. So
really wicked quick. We really don't run something like this on a normal basis, so it's really great opportunity to try something new. The tight and tall.
Tight little bowl ring, real bank, good corners. A lot of fun. I actually really enjoy coming here. I guess maybe this is our version of Bristol.
Yeah, this place is usually awesome. We're fighting some weather right now and some track conditions. You know, he's out there doing the best he can to pack it in. Hopefully Mother Nature works with us and we can get it in.
And here's Dale Caswell, who you just heard praise the track a moment ago. He has good reason to love this track, as he dominated the Go Nuclear Late Model feature here in 2012 en route to the series championship. Rick Miller was also on hand last October, but things didn't go as well that night for the driver of the 33X.
We did good in the heat, and we got taken out early on the first lap, so kind of looking forward to getting back out there, and hopefully I'll have a good showing tonight.
Rapid Rick won in his first trip to Canada this year and will look to continue his strong 2013 season, a year in which Dale Caswell has also been solid, just not up to his expectations.
I mean, I've only got 1 win so far this year, you know, which is not like us, but, you know, we're still consistent. You know, we're running right up front.
These two Central New Yorkers will go to battle with a slew of Canadian campaigners in heat race action coming up next. Welcome back to the Atomic Power Racing Hour, showcasing the Go Nuclear Late Model Series from the Brockville, Ontario Speedway in Canada. This is qualifying heat race 1 of 3. The focus for each of the drivers in the 8-lap events is solely on finishing in the top 3, giving them an opportunity to draw the pole for the 35-lap feature. For the call of the action, here's Rich Fleck.
Canadians Mark Rayner and Kyle Sopaz have the front row for this qualifier, with Rick Miller and Phil Potts, 2 big names in row number 2. One of the local favorites, Adam Turner, starts back in 6th. Green flag is out and we're underway, and the outside looks good for Kyle Sopaz. He will lead down into turn number 1 and 2 on the high side of the racetrack. Down to the bottom goes the next three in line. Rayner, Potts, and Rick Miller. Miller shooting back into the bottom underneath Potts, who gets a little bit sideways as they come around to complete lap number 1. Adam Turner now challenging the back end of Rick Miller for position number 4. Phil Potts puts the pressure on Rayner for the second position. Remember, the top 3 drivers will make the redraw, and that battle is up for grabs. Miller reels in the back of Phil Potts as the track is narrow and a little slimy right now. You can find a good line and then miss it just as quickly. Adam Turner, the 92, driver that used to run Sportsman and Modifieds here at Brockville weekly on Saturday and even Friday night competition back in the past. Last season, he concluded the year by finishing second here, and he's going to close in on Miller as Miller got shuffled up with Phil Potts in the 29. It's still Kyle Sopaz out in front, Rick Miller, and now added into the mix, AJ Kingsley. Sandwich around the outside of Adam Turner. They're 4th, 5th, and 6th. All 3 top names outside of the redraw. As we stay under green flag conditions, now past halfway, 4 down, 4 to go. And a driver like AJ Kingsley, he finished 3rd here last year, battling with the driver that finished 1 spot in front of him in October. Adam Turner cuts down from the top of the racetrack, tries to diamond across, and actually did a pretty nice job there, reeling back in Rapid Rick. Out in front, Mark Rayner has caught Kyle Sopaz for the race lead. Sopaz looking for his first ever qualifying heat race win in a Go Nuclear Late Model Series event. He's a driver doing the full Go Nuclear Late Model Tour in 2013. The yellow flag is out on the speedway. Matt Vanderlinden with an issue on the backstretch.
Let's learn a little more about the mechanics of a late model in this week's Tech Minute.
Well, tonight on the Tech Minute, we go underneath these late model bodies into what really makes these cars work around the racetrack. There's a lot of adjustability built in to these race cars. That's why late models are so cool. And when they come here to the Brockville Speedway, a quarter-mile high-bank track, it's going to be a lot different than some of the tracks they run on a weekly basis. The big half-mile speedways that are often slick and not very well banked. But here, totally different. And when you throw the moisture that has come down this afternoon into the equation, you've got cars that really need to be freed up and loosened to get around the speedway. When you take a look at the adjustability, they've got the shocks and springs set up. They've got a lot of different points that they can attach the rear end of the car to, and that can really be critical to help them get around the speedway. From far away, the 4 tires might look like they're all square or going around the speedway, but there's different angles that are built in to help the car rotate quicker, or in some of the cases, they'll rotate just a little bit less. It's all those different pieces that go into making this one of the wildest divisions in all of dirt racing.
As Vanderlinden gets pushed back to the pits, here's what some of the drivers felt was critical in nailing a late model setup, especially here at Brockville.
There's a whole treasure trove of adjustments that can be done back there between bars, springs, shocks.
You can drop gear, take less RPM out of it. You can do bar changes up and down, do a J-bar change.
I think you just need to free up the car a little bit because it has banking and it tends to be a lot tackier than a lot of tracks. So you just need to keep the car freed up a little bit and not keep it too tight where the car will shove the nose coming off of too bad.
For the track having as much banking as it does, my understanding would be kind of to put roll steer in the left rear, get the car to turn on throttle.
Well, you want to get the right roll steer. That's the whole key. You know, you want to make sure that the car is freed up enough with ease.
Kyle Sopaz clearly has a solid setup in his number 12 right now as he holds on to the lead, but 2 fellow Canadians are hungry to attack with just 2 laps to go.
No matter the style of the car, being out in front at Brockville in heat races is a major advantage. Kyle Sopaz finding that out as he leads back with 2 to go. Phil Potts hanging on to the all-important 3rd and final redraw position, but Rick Miller's right there. Potts gets a good launch down the backstretch and will challenge Rayner for the 2nd spot. Mark Rayner able to hold him off, and Potts is back up the racetrack coming to the white flag. One more trip around leader Kyle Sopaz, and now Rick Miller falls back into the clutches of Adam Turner and AJ Kingsley. They're outside of the redraw. Well, Kyle Sopaz leads into 3 and 4 for the final time. Off the final corner, Kyle Sopaz picks up the win. Rayner and Potts will make the redraw, while the rest of the drivers will have to come from deep in the pack for the feature.
Kyle Sopaz claimed the first redraw spot for the feature, but who will join him? Find out next.
Want to win an onboard camera? How about a brand new tablet? Just visit the Go Nuclear Late Model Series Facebook page and find out how. While you're there, check out the upcoming schedule, the new line of merchandise, and much more. Just visit facebook.com/Go Nuclear Late Model Series.
If you care about quality, service, or pride of ownership, it's time to call Tenachi AV. Tenachi AV provides music and theater systems for the home that defy expectations and are a clear cut above those found in the mass market stores, including handcrafted opera loudspeakers, Unison research amplification from Italy, Integra home theater, and many more. Discover the difference at TenachiAV.com or visit us on Facebook.
The 2013 Go Nuclear Late Model Challenge Series is presented by Excel Tower Service, Peters Excavating, Atomic Chassis, Lias Racing Tire, American Racer, FX Caprera, Bilstein Shocks, Ed Carley Motorsports, BA Custom Headers, Finish Line Web Design, and Tenace Diversified. You're watching the Atomic Power Racing Hour from the Brockville, Ontario Speedway. Canadian Kyle Sopaz scored the win in heat number 1, but it may be tough for the locals in this event, with 3 Americans starting in the top 4 spots for this qualifier, including multi-time champion Chubb Frank, who carries our onboard camera. A row behind Chubbzilla, Charlie Sandercock, who may be Canada's best hope in this event, despite having to jump out of his usual number 57 tonight. After blowing the motor at Mohawk last night, Sandercock spent this afternoon swapping out the engine in his ride, while at the same time preparing a car he's never driven before so that he can stay in the mix for the Go Nuclear Series Championship. Heat race number 2 is ready to get underway. Let's send it back up to Rich Fleck.
Blue cars will lead the field to green with Harry Halliday and Brandon Moat on the front row. Chubbzilla, Chubb Frank, and Shane Tenace have row number 2 with the 21H of Charlie Sandercock in a borrowed ride, starting back spot number 5. Stevenson and McDonald round out the 7-car field. 8 laps underway out of turn number 4. A little squirrely for each of the drivers and a little bit of contact between the top 2. As they go through turn number 1 and 2, Halliday and Moat make contact. Tenace slips over the banking and heads all the way back to the pack as the field leads into turn number 3. Out in front right now, Harry Halliday on a spin. Brandon Moat comes around. Chubb Frank's involved. Chubb Frank backwards and will bring out the yellow. The veteran competitor from Pennsylvania who dominated action last night at Mohawk has already found trouble a lap into this qualifying heat race.
The replay makes it pretty clear that Moat in the 46 just came around on his own. Chubb Frank stabbed the brakes in an effort to avoid, but that almost steered him into the wreck and caused some significant damage to the pre-race favorite's number 1 star. Both drivers were able to resume, but their chances to make the redraw just got a lot more difficult.
On a big wide racetrack, this would not be a huge deal for Chubb Frank. He could probably pick his way right through. But here at Brockville, a narrow racing group on this restart, Charlie Sandercock jumps out in front of the pack. Sandercock started in the 5th position, but has already inherited the race lead with 2 laps in. Now a battle on for 2nd. Shane Tenace, who bobbled on the opening circuit, is already back up to the bumper of Harry Halliday in the 13T. They battle for the 2nd position. Remember, the top 3 make a redraw. We got another incident in turn number 4. Again, it's Brandon Moat coming around in the 46, and this time significant damage to his race car. The caution back out, and not a good sign for the driver out of Brighton, Ontario.
The turn 4 camera shows the 46 once again snapping sideways, slamming into the tractor tire, and then getting spun around by David McDonald's number 97. Without a doubt, it was a huge hit for the number 46. Moat was able to avoid serious damage in his first spin, but this time he's on the hook and has cleared the speedway, so we're once again ready to go green.
Sandercock has selected the outside groove for this restart. It worked for Kyle Sopaz in heat race number 1. Sandercock used it on the last restart to his advantage. Said, hey, even though I'm the leader, why not go to the top? Up in turn number 3 and 4, the green flag is out, back underway, and a little bobble back in the pack. Shane Tenace and Chubb Frank nearly coming together for spot number 4, and that's out of the redraw as Elmer Stevenson has moved his number 10 up into a quality spot. Through 3 and 4, they ride. Tenace gets a little squirrely, pushes over the banking. His car unable to get the bite on the front end, and he slips all the way to the back of the pack. That puts Chubbzilla up into spot number 4. 1 position out of a redraw as he tries to get back what was lost on the opening circuit. We got the caution out, though, as Shane Tenace still with steering issues in turn number 1 and 2, and we're under a yellow for the 3rd time in this heat race.
Earlier on, Tenace discussed his strategy on preparing his number 98 car for the Brockville, Ontario Speedway.
You know, I wish I knew, but since I don't, I'm bringing in a ringer, Clint Smith, to help me with that. In all reality, you get a lot more left side, and so when you come off the corner, you're going to be a little bit tight. So we're going to want to set up to be free coming off the corner. More than likely, we'll move the right side bars, both the upper and lower, move it up a hole so it's a little bit more free, get more rear steer.
Tenace is now back in his pit area with Clint Smith helping as he can. Smith drove the car at Mohawk and had thrown a good setup in the number 98, but that doesn't mean much with the right front the way it is now.
4 of 8 laps complete, and because we are past halfway, single file for this restart. That's even better news for Charlie Sandercock, who has really found something in the 21H after struggling mightily in the hot lap session the first time in this ride. Jumps out in front of the pack in the battle to watch. Position number 3, the 1-star of Chubb Frank. Closing back in on Elmer Stevenson's number 10. Chubbzilla slides up the racetrack a little bit, and the 10 of Elmer Stevenson able to scoot away. Into 3 and 4 they ride, just 3 more circuits to go in the battle for spot number 3, the most hotly contested on the speedway. Again, catching them's one thing, passing them here on this tight, narrow racetrack, very difficult, especially with the moisture laid down. This afternoon, the groove has not been widened out as of yet. Frank closing in and looking to make a crossover maneuver, but Stevenson able to make his number 10 as wide as humanly possible. 2 more laps left to go. No issues for Sandercock. Harry Halliday comfortably in second, but Frank has got to make something happen. If he doesn't finish in the top 3, he will start the feature in 11th, but if he gets one more spot, he could end up on the pole for the feature. One driver that's definitely going to put himself in that scenario, Charlie Sandercock, who has found the feel of the 21H. He picks up the win here in qualifying heat race number 2. Halliday and Stevenson are going to be the 3 to make the redraw, so Chubb Frank is going to start from 11th. Going to have to come from deep in the pack later on tonight.
The third and final heat race is coming up next, right here on the Atomic Power Racing Hour. Go Nuclear Late Model Heat Race 3 featured some pre-race favorites. Here's how the final 8-lap qualifying event went down.
Jason McCory along with the 25 of Greg Bellier on the front row for the final qualifier. Defending champion and winner here at Brockville last season, Dale Caswell starts in the 3rd spot. Kelly Weiss to the outside with Kidd down and the 10T of Dave Talbot here for the first time rounding out the field. A little bit of sideways for pole sitter McCory. Gets into the 77 of Kelly Weiss, and out in front on the outside of the racetrack goes Greg Bellier. Bellier, who's been here a number of times in the past, just has never had the finishes he would have hoped for. Was running second here last year to Dale Caswell, who sits in 4th right now, winning in an issue with 2 laps to go. Caswell on the outside of the redraw. Again, that's the most critical point of these 8-lap qualifiers. Behind the 77 of Kelly Weiss, Jason McCory's 49 a little bit loose, but those 2 stacking up the R19. Caswell with just 1 feature win this season, that coming at Fulton earlier this month. A year after winning 10 races last year, including 3 on the Go Nuclear Late Model Series Tour. It might be a tough task if he does not get it into the redraw. However, last year he did win from 15 on a track just as narrow back in October. McCory hangs on to 2nd, 3rd is Kelly Weiss, and Greg Bellier driving away from all of them, as it looks to be 3 Canadians to win all 3 qualifying heats. Bellier has had a slow start to 2013 as well, had to miss a couple of events, and no wins to his record so far, although last year at this point he didn't have any and ended up with 5 at Brighton Speedway. Battle on 2nd through 4th, throw a blanket over him. Off at turn number 4 with 3 laps left to go. McCory, Weiss, and Caswell all stuck together off at turn number 2. Caswell's there, down on the bottom of the racetrack. Lost some grip off the corner that time, though. They're coming around the parallel sticks. Caswell with a big run on the outside of turn number 4. Tries to set up a crossover maneuver, but Kelly Weiss in the 77 holding strong here on a track where she scored a top 10 finish to end the 2012 season. White flag coming out for Greg Bellier. He has led since the drop of the green flag from the outside of the front row. Of course, Bellier preparing a car for Chubb Frank this weekend. However, kind of the trade-off, Chubb Frank's been helping set up this number 25, and it seems to help. Off of turn number 4, Greg Bellier picks up the qualifying win. Second to McCory, and Kaylee Weiss is going to hold off Dale Caswell, who will now start the feature tonight in spot number 12. It's a while back to 5th. Brian Down is going to be able to hold off Kidd and Talbot.
The focus shifts to the 35-lap feature. It's coming up next on the Atomic Power Racing Hour.
Let's fire them up and head to the National Parts Peddler Racers Auction and Trade Show. It's at the New York State Fairgrounds in Syracuse. This is Joe Morata, the voice of the National Parts Peddler Trade Show and Auction. It's the kickoff for next year's racing season. Thousands of racers, mechanics, car owners will be there. You'll find something for anything to do with motorsport. Circle track, road track, racing, drag racing, and go-kart. Be there at the National Parts Peddler Racers Auction and Trade Show. The best opportunity for dealers and manufacturers. Be part of the huge Northeast racing market. It's all there at the National Parts Peddler Racers Auction and Trade Show. Be there.
Electricity. You flip a switch, the lights go on. But will we have safe supplies of electricity to meet our fast-growing needs? Today, nuclear energy provides 1/5 of America's electricity. Tomorrow, it could supply even more. And nuclear power plants don't emit greenhouse gases, so they preserve our environment. We need to reduce our dependence on foreign energy. And we also need clean air. With nuclear energy, we can do both. Nuclear, putting clean air energy to work.
You're watching the Atomic Power Racing Hour, where just a moment ago, the top 3 finishers at each heat drew for their starting positions in tonight's feature event. Kyle Sopaz drew a front row starting spot, while fellow heat race winner Charlie Sandercock snagged the pole. Here's what all 3 heat winners had to say about their runs in qualifying action.
Made a few changes to the car there. We got Bub McCool in the pits right beside us, helping us out here and there. Kind of threw something at it and hoped for the best. Turned well a couple laps, but we're going to hopefully make a few more changes and have her bang on for the feature. We're starting outside pole right beside Charlie. Familiar spot for me, and hopefully we're going to rub some paint and have some fun.
It's a big crapshoot, gamble, whatever you want to call it. We went out for hot laps. We got this car off of Shane Tenay. We blew a motor last night and he offered us a car, so we went out there in hot laps and didn't know what we were getting into, and we were bad. I couldn't even drive it, wouldn't stick the front tires, and we came in and just kind of threw a bunch of changes at it, and I guess we threw the right ones, and the car worked pretty good.
Oh, it was a good deal. The track has a lot of bite in it, and we got a good jump on the start. Managed to get out to the lead and just held her wide open.
One driver that did not fare as well in his heat was Shane Tenay. He explained to us why a moment ago.
The value of maintenance, or actually the pain of the lack of. Apparently lost the lower control arm bolt. When that happens, bad things happen. Tore apart my shock, sheared it apart, bent the upper control arm, and if I didn't have Clint Smith here helping me, I would likely not be making it out to the feature. The double shame was he had me hooked up. I could actually move. Didn't really need that restart. I was passing for second when the restart came out. I failed. Oh well. We'll start deep in the field and hopefully move up.
As Shane and Clint continue to thrash on the 98 during the Speedway's intermission, here's Rich Fleck. He's trackside with a feature event preview.
I've documented it all night long that Mother Nature has let her presence be known all afternoon, even into the evening hours with a little bit of mist. That's stopped now. It's cool, dry air, but the racetrack's a different story. Still very wet, moist, and the clay, especially in the top groove of the Speedway, is very malleable. It can move around a lot, kind of like a putty, and that will help to build a cushion. That's good if you're out in front running the top side of the Speedway. It's not good news if you're one of the drivers starting in the back trying to move their way up. The bottom lane has a little bit of bite, but it's going to be tough to get that momentum off the corners. The middle lane is pretty much dried out to the point where you got to be on the bottom or the top, and that top line is probably going to be the preferred place, even though 4 features are to run before the late models. We'll see how it plays out in tonight's feature event.
Drivers like Kaylee Weiss are making their final adjustments as the 35 lap Go Nuclear Late Model Series feature is coming up next on the Atomic Power Racing Hour.
Finger Food Products is a family-owned and operated business and is the proud maker of original pizza logs. Finger Food Products has been providing the food industry with original pizza logs for more than 25 years. Original pizza logs can be found at major national food service distributors, your local food distributor, and regional grocery chains. Because original pizza logs enhance pizzeria menus, they can be found at some of the largest and the smallest pizzeria chains in America.
If you care about quality, service, or pride of ownership, it's time to call Tenachi AV. Tenachi AV provides music and theater systems for the home that defy expectations and are a clear cut above those found in the mass market stores, including handcrafted opera loudspeakers, Unison research amplification from Italy, Integra home theater, and many more. Discover the difference at tenachiav.com or visit us on Facebook.
It's feature time at the Brockville, Ontario Speedway for the second running of a Go Nuclear Late Model Series race at this track known as the Beast of the East. 22 drivers in competition this evening, with the 46 of Brandon Mowat being the only car unable to start. 35 laps can seem like a long race, but with the track as fast as it is, the laps could seemingly fly by for the drivers. Pole sitter Charlie Sandercock, along with Heat 3 winner Greg Bellier, are carrying our onboards for this highly anticipated event. For the call of the action, here is Rich Vleck.
Sandercock and Sopaz on the front row. Then Kaylee Weiss, Greg Bellier, and Phil Potts making it an all-Canadian top 5 for the starting lineup. First American starter, 6th position, Harry Halliday, but some of the big names starting a little bit further back. Rick Miller in 10th, Chubb Frank 11th, and 12th, Dale Caswell. They all missed out on the redraw, and they all have done very well this season. One's the point leader, the other two have series wins. Charlie Sandercock on the bottom, Kyle Sopaz on the outside of the front row. Green is out, and we are underway in a dead even start for the top two. Through turn number 1 and 2, and on the outside of the racetrack, Kyle Sopaz looks good. Jason McCory goes over the banking, though. Hard contact for David McDonald down on the inside, and the caution's going to come out before we get a lap in. Jason McCory in the 49, who had started in position number 8, drifted over the turn 1 banking, took a wild excursion, and David McDonald in the 97 slammed into a Uke tire, one of those powdered donuts on the inside of the racetrack. Heavy contact to the right side of his number 97. A driver that finished 6th here last year and has had a very nice start to 2013. Comes into the night 3rd at his hometown Brighton Speedway, and their point standings could be a major issue for him to resume, although he is pulling back onto the racing surface, still with some sheet metal hanging, and not going to be able to continue like that.
A look at the replay shows us McCrory's 49 tipping over the banking while McDonald got caught up in the chain reaction and sustained hard contact with the tractor tire. Despite the huge hit, McDonald along with McCrory were able to rejoin at the tail of the field.
A tough break for the yellow 12 of Kyle Sopaz. He had taken the lead off at turn number 2, but the caution coming out before they could get the lap completed. He's still an advantage on the top of the racetrack, but it gives another chance for pole sitter Charlie Sandercock to do his thing on the inside of the racetrack, and Sandercock edges ahead into turn number 1 and 2. Sopaz back around the outside, but on the bottom, the 21H still ahead down the back stretch, and now is clear the 12 into turn number 3. Boy, that's a power move by two close racing buddies. Sopaz trying the crossover maneuver, but it will be Belleville, Ontario's Charlie Sandercock assuming the top position. In 3rd now, Greg Bellier, the caution flag back out. Elmer Stevenson, the number 10, has come around in turn number 2, and we're back on the yellow with only a lap home in this feature.
Only one lap's been recorded thus far in the Go Nuclear Late Model Series feature at Brockville, Ontario Speedway. 2 quick cautions have slowed the start of this 35-lap event. The field's bunched up again for the restart, and there's plenty of racing to be done.
Charlie Sandercock selecting the outside row for this restart, and you see why as he jumps out in front of the pack once again, leads into turn number 1 and 2. The battle on third, on back, make it fourth now. Greg Bellier, and here comes Dale Caswell. Caswell started back in 12th and has already carved his way into the top 5. Similar to his run last October when he started back in 15th and found his way to the lead before halfway. Bill Potts also looking good in 6th. How about AJ Kingsley up into spot number 7? The 9K started back in 16th tonight and has already picked up 9 spots in the opening 3 circuits. Kyle Sopas now in jeopardy of losing the runner-up spot to Harry Halliday. Halliday looked good in his qualifying heat and having a similar strong run right here. Behind him, his teammate Dale Caswell looking on Greg Bellier for position number 4. Down to the inside with a slide job off the corner. Caswell up into the 4th position. Caution lights back on the racing oval, and it's for Rick Miller in the 33X. Miller is slowed in turn number 2. Apparently slid off the banking after running in the top 10 here in the opening laps.
It's unclear what the problem was for Miller, but before the feature, he spent plenty of his time helping out current race leader Charlie Sandercock and his crew with the setup on the ride they borrowed for tonight. We dropped in on their conversation.
That's my creeper I got for Christmas.
That's a low profile.
Yeah, it's padded even. So if you go, let's see, counterclockwise.
Yeah.
It'll put you to like 10.
Yeah.
Because that's what I just did. I put mine on 10.
So that's
Lock it down. That means it's
yeah, it's all the way locked down. It's all
right.
tied down all the way.
Yep, it's the
all right,
highest,
perfect.
highest rebound.
Clearly, the input has aided the 21H as he leads on this restart.
Again, Sandercock choosing the outside groove on these restarts until we get to halfway. They'll be double file, but there's a new driver right behind the race leader. It's the R19 of Dale Caswell, who has started back in 12th. He's up to 4th and in a very good position on the outside group for this restart. He drives around his teammate Harry Halliday into 3rd and now goes after Kyle Sopas for 2nd. And he's got some bite up there. Dale Caswell up 10 spots in the opening 4 circuits and now looks on the race lead. Throws it in very hard as a couple drivers get stacked up back in the pack for the race lead. Dale Caswell has asserted his R19, and maybe tonight's the night for the defending series champion of the Go Nuclear Late Models to get his first tour win of 2013. He's right on the back bumpers of the 21H. Remember, Sandercock not normally used to this ride, and it's possible that over the course of a long run, this car will react differently than his own number 57 does. Caswell, he's comfortable with his ride though, puts it down to the bottom groove and starting to work a different line. That could wear some tires out though. The middle of the racetrack has a little bit more black in the racing groove, and this is reputedly a very hard track on tires, especially when it starts to slick off. Caswell though puts it back down to that bottom rail. If the top groove goes away, you've got to be on the bottom off of turn number 4. As of now, Sandercock able to drive back in front, but that time the R19 stuck his nose in far enough to Sandercock knowing exactly who's right behind him. The caution flag out for the 4th time tonight. Shane Tenase has gone over the banking in turn number 4, and we are back under yellow. So yellow fever hitting the Brockville, Ontario Speedway with 4 cautions, but Tenase has been able to pull away. Lights are off on the pace vehicle. We will go green again this time, but Dale Caswell with a new opportunity down on the bottom for this restart. On the prior restart, he was up behind the 21H like Harry Halliday is now. That's a great position to be in because the leader on the outside is going to fire first, and the momentum is king up on the top. Maybe Caswell, though, can throw a bid down on the inside. Green flag is out. We're back underway. And it's Sandercock pulling out to a car length advantage. Caswell commands 2nd, though, and puts it down to the inside rail. Sandercock able to hold him off, though, into turn number 3. Caswell again drives the R19 down to the bottom groove. Unable to clear the leader, though, and will have to fall back in the line at least for the moment. Still a lot of racing to be done, though, and Dale Caswell started back in 12th. He has already moved up 10 spots, and we're not even 10 laps complete in this 35-lap feature. Caswell, again, half a car length underneath the race leader. But getting to them is one thing. Passing them is a whole different story on this tight quarter mile. Battle a little bit further in the pack. Harry Halliday has third. Kyle Sopaz now in jeopardy of losing his position to Greg Bellier, who slides back as well. And Chubb Frank starting to move his way through the pack in the 1-star. Chubb Frank, along with A.J. Kingsley right now, have moved into the top 5. I mentioned earlier that Kingsley in the 9K started in 16th, while Chubb Frank started in position number 11. They clearly have some good setups on their race car, but still have some top names to pass. As Chubb Frank goes back down to the bottom, nearly slides into the side of A.J. Kingsley as they battle it out for position number 4. Kingsley's in the preferred groove, but I think Chubb Frank is just that much better. Down to the inside he goes, uses a little bit of muscle. Shane Tenase goes over the banking in turn number 2, and Chubb Frank is up into the 4th spot. As the leaders now have to work by the 98 of Tenase, who slid over the banking. He will come to a stop instead of getting back into traffic, and the caution's going to have to fly once again. We're still not to halfway. A lot of racing left to be done, and some big names moving through the pack trying to pick up the win.
Planning a trip to Victory Lane? Let Atomic Chassis get you there. Atomic Chassis are built with a high attention to detail using superior parts from trusted manufacturers such as PPM, Winters, Bernheisel, Bilstein, All-Star Performance, Vulcan, and many more. With superior craftsmanship and materials, you know Atomic will last. And since each customer becomes a part of our family, you aren't treated like just another number. So visit AtomicChassis.com today to plan your next trip to Victory Lane.
Electricity. You flip a switch, the lights go on. But will we have safe supplies of electricity to meet our fast-growing needs? Today, nuclear energy provides 1/5 of America's electricity. Tomorrow, it could supply even more. And nuclear power plants don't emit greenhouse gases, so they preserve our environment. We need to reduce our dependence on foreign energy. And we also need clean air. With nuclear energy, we can do both. Nuclear, putting clean air energy to work.
If you're enjoying these late models on the Atomic Power Racing Hour, you need to be there in person. The Go Nuclear Late Model Challenge Series is coming to a track near you with all the dirt-flinging, side-by-side racing, and bumper-to-bumper action that you can handle. Come see the cars and stars of the Atomic Power Racing Hour as they battle for bragging rights. The series is coming to a track near you, so don't miss out on your best opportunity to experience what all the hype's about. Catch the Series Championship event at the Black Rock Speedway, Saturday, October 19th. Welcome back to the Atomic Power Racing Hour, where the feature is now 13 laps complete and Charlie Sandercock still leads. Defending series champion Dale Caswell has moved up to second, though, and is alongside the leader for this restart.
On the last restart, Caswell almost got by Sandercock on the inside groove. As they're back underway, Caswell again peeks down to the inside rail, has him cleared, but Sandercock drives back around the outside. You wonder if Caswell could have slammed the door shut. Still a lot of laps left to be done, and Caswell not positive that he had it cleared and now may lose second for it. Here comes Chubbzilla. Chubb Frank on the outside of the racetrack. He'll take second away off of turn number 2. Caswell has to tuck in a line, but is not going to give it up into turn number 3. So Caswell, a little tentative on taking the race lead, perhaps feeling that he could bide his time, is now going to lose second for that maneuver. And Chubb Frank becomes the #1 contender to take away the lead from Charlie Sandercock. Frank, who won at Mohawk last night and came in as the odds-on favorite this evening, has rallied from a spin in the qualifying heat action, started back at 11th, and has driven his way up into the number 2 spot. Some good runs being turned in by Phil Potts and A.J. Kingsley as well, but that's a hefty distance from the top 4 that is now broken away. Greg Bellier has joined that group after fading a little bit in the opening circuits. Chubb Frank has not been able to close in on the 21H since taking second, although does reel him in a little bit off of 3 and 4. Now past halfway as the laps click down for Charlie Sandercock. No rearview mirrors in these late models, so all Sandercock can do is check the scoreboard, and that's difficult under green flag conditions. Looks like Elmer Stevenson in the number 10 has come to a stop over the banking in turn number 2, and we are back under yellow, and that could be bad news for the race leader. Stevenson able to pull back away, and we will go back green this time as he can scoot right in at the tail of the field. Single file on all restarts the rest of the way as we are past the halfway distance just 16 laps left to go. And again, now Sandercock may have an opportunity to look right up at the scoreboard and see that the one of Chubb Frank has moved up the scoring ledger. Dale Caswell now third, and with a single file restart, really feeling the effects of the last restart. Frank's right down on the bottom along with Charlie Sandercock for this restart. Now the 21H goes up high, gets a little loose, finding the cushion. That berm has moved up to a point now where you can start to drive underneath a few of these cars. That's what Chubbzilla's waiting for, trying to let the car come in as he rides in second, but only 15 laps left to go. Still a remarkable drive for the one-star along with the R19 of Dale Caswell, both of whom started back in row number 6 and really didn't have a whole lot of an issue getting up to second. But it's the lead they've had trouble with. And Charlie Sandercock looking for his first career Go Nuclear Late Model Tour win. He's had a nice 2013 season so far, won both races in weekly competition he ran last weekend. Friday night at Can-Am, Saturday night at Brighton Speedway. And here comes Chubbzilla. Reels in the 21H after they had to pass the lap car that was heading to the pits, and Frank puts it down to the inside. Almost had him cleared off at turn number 4, and Sandercock goes back around the outside. But he knows exactly who's there now, even if he didn't check the scoreboard earlier. Dale Caswell back into the mix, trying to go underneath the leader, but they're in the lapped automobiles. This could be the great equalizer that Chubb Frank has plenty more experience with in his years of traveling the short tracks of North America. Almost 10 laps left to go. Frank trying to get the momentum built back up. The experience in these Go Nuclear Late models, of course, goes to Sandercock, and that's shown itself right now as there are just 10 laps remaining, and down to the inside, Chubbzilla still intent on making the car stick on the bottom, while Sandercock trying to keep his crate motor built up for speed on the outside of the speedway. The laps slowly click away for Sandercock as we've got an incident in turn number 3. A couple of the top runners involved. Phil Potts, the 9K of AJ Kingsley, Rick Miller, and now David McDonald, all thrown into a scrap at turn number 3 and 4. We're back under yellow, and some of the runners in the top 10 taken out. Not sure what happened to start this incident, but reminiscent to the event last year, we have a pile-up in turn number 3.
A look at the replay reveals that the number 29 of Potts came around to start the incident and left nowhere to go for AJ Kingsley, spoiling both their top 10 runs. Rick Miller and David McDonald were late arrivals in the incident. A slower look at the replay suggests that the 13T of Harry Holliday may have aided Potts in his spin, setting off a chain reaction. Even though Miller appeared to be a footnote in the incident, the damage was significant enough to end the night for the winner of the 2013 series opener at Humberstone. This is the second race in a row at Brockville for Miller where he was unable to finish the feature event.
Field ready to go green this time, white flag being shown, and an opportunity for Charlie Sandercock to kind of reset his bearings. No lap traffic for the foreseeable future. Again, it was getting pretty dense right there, and quite often it can be a benefit to be in the second position as Chubb Frank has been for the last dozen laps. But again, that won't happen again for the next at least 3 or 4 circuits. Maybe the rest of the race we will not see lap traffic. A single file restart once again as a little fog starts to roll in through 3 and 4. And out of the smoke comes Charlie Sandercock back to green. Greg Bellier jumps out of line back in spot number 4. He's looking for third on Dale Caswell, who goes to the inside of Chubb Frank for second. Chubb Frank showing a little bit of smoke off the spoiler of his one star. Does he have an issue, or is it just the air compacting and showing a little bit of a vapor trail? Sandercock still leads, and every time that Chubb Frank gets off the throttle, you see the smoke rise. That might be the incident of a burnt cylinder or something in the engine compartment. He's trying to limp it home, still has a good run going in second, but the leader is starting to pull away from him. That was not the case before this restart. And Dale Caswell is reeling back in Frank as the smoke is really becoming pronounced on the second place runner. That may be the break that Charlie Sandercock has been looking for. He has led all the laps so far, but he's had 3 different drivers challenging him in spot number 2. The berm has really driven up the racetrack, and everything up until that point is blackened over. Tire wear could be a little bit of an issue, and you wonder if these drivers have enough rubber to get on home. The smoke really becoming pronounced on the 1 star. As Caswell in the R19 reels in Chubb Frank again for second. And Greg Bellier's right there as well. Bellier, who won his heat race earlier, faded back in the opening laps and makes it a 3-car scramble. The 1 star of Frank really starting to spit some fire out of the exhaust now. The car's backfiring, not handling right. Caswell down to the inside of turn number 4. That's a tough spot to pass, but Frank will have to let him go. Caswell back into second place, but has a long distance to go back after Charlie Sandercock. They're coming around this time. 2 more laps left to go. Chubbzilla now in jeopardy of losing the 3rd position to his car owner on the weekend, Greg Bellier, as the 1 star's chances of the weekend sweep has gone by the wayside. Back in lap traffic for the top 5. As Sandercock has been able to move around everyone on the outside, has the white flag, and is a 1/4 mile away from his first career Go Nuclear Late Model Tour win. Nobody in front of him as he works into 3 and 4. He has no idea. He's got a full backstretch lead. And off of turn number 4, Charlie Sandercock has a Go Nuclear Late Model Series win. Second across the line will be Dale Caswell. Chubb Frank will hold off his car owner Greg Bellier for 3rd. Well, Harry Halliday holds on for a nice top 5 here tonight.
We'll hear from the race winner in Victory Lane right after this.
Planning a trip to Victory Lane? Let Atomic Chassis get you there. Atomic Chassis are built with a high attention to detail using superior parts from trusted manufacturers such as PPM, Winters, Bernheisel, Bilstein, All-Star Performance, Vulcan, and many more. With superior craftsmanship and materials, you know Atomic will last. And since each customer becomes a part of our family, you aren't treated like just another number. So visit AtomicChassis.com today to plan your next trip to Victory Lane.
If you're enjoying these late models on the Atomic Power Racing Hour, you need to be there in person. The Go Nuclear Late Model Challenge Series is coming to a track near you with all the dirt-flinging, side-by-side racing, and bumper-to-bumper action that you can handle. Come see the cars and stars of the Atomic Power Racing Hour as they battle for bragging rights. It's not too early to start settling your race plans for next year as the 2014 season gets underway with a 2-day event at Mohawk International Raceway, April 26th and 27th. Don't miss it. Despite never being in the 21H before tonight, Charlie Sandercock led all 35 laps of the feature event to score his first Go Nuclear Late Model Series win and earn a trip to Brockville, Ontario Speedway Victory Lane, where Rich Fleck has caught up with the man of the hour.
All smiles in Victory Lane for Charlie Sandercock. When you pulled in this afternoon and you went through this car, you ran hot laps, did you imagine you'd be sitting here at the end of the night?
No, honestly not. I thought, you know what, we did hot laps and I said, oh boy, this is something I have no clue. I've never been around this car before. We jumped in it and it was not set up for my driving style, and I thought, well, we're just going to be here to get some points and hopefully continue up the points for the series. And even though we missed out on last night, but then we went out in the heat race and we flipped this thing upside down, changed almost everything we could, and it worked all right then. And we just kind of tweaked a little bit for the feature, and it seemed to work out.
What were the most nerve-wracking moments of the feature?
I think everyone knows when Chubb Frank pulled up alongside you and showed his nose that, all right, it's time to race.
It sure got interesting, and even Dale Caswell had a nice bit on one restart down at the bottom of 2.
Yeah, for sure, and Dale Caswell, as well as Chubb Frank, we all know those guys can all drive, and it was just kind of, I just trying to keep my head in the game and not worry about them and just keep driving my race.
Got to feel awesome.
It feels awesome.
Oh, there he is in Victory Lane, Charlie Sandercock. Not his normal car, but checkered flag still feels the same way right here in Victory Lane.
As Sandercock was driving away to the win, Dale Caswell was able to drive back up to second, while Chubb Frank held off his car owner Greg Bellier for a 3rd in the closing laps. Harry Halliday scored his first top 5 in a series race, while Kyle Sopaz completed his solid night in 6th. Matt Vanderlinden was the hard charger of the night, driving from 20th starting position up to 7th. Local favorite Adam Turner finished in 9th, with Kaylee Weiss completing the top 10. A.J. Kingsley rebounded from a late race spin to finish in 13th, while David McDonald was involved in 3 incidents on the night, but still finished in 14th. Phil Potts was inside the top 5 when he got spun with 7 laps remaining, knocking he and Rick Miller out of the event. All the drivers on this page were unable to finish and in the process lost ground in the championship battle to series point leader Dale Caswell, who Rich Bleck has caught up with in the pit area.
Well, Dale Caswell, the winner of the event here last year at Brockville for the Go Nuclear Late Models, settles for second tonight. You had to work your way to get up to that point and then just couldn't get by Charlie. What was the scoop there?
Yeah, we ended up starting 12th, and I used my tires up a little bit there. I rushed right through the field, and got up there, and I mean he was fast, and Chubb came right up there, and he was fast. So hopefully we put on a good race for the fans. Talk to me about that lap 13 restart. It looked like you almost had the whole car ahead of Charlie coming off at 2. Just wasn't sure. Yeah, I just wasn't sure I was clear him. I don't want to bump into him and take him out or take myself out. And if I knew I was going to be clear, I would have went up there. But I think we were about equal, running wise. So would have made a good race. But hopefully the fans enjoyed it anyways. Still a good night. Nice job. Absolutely. Thank you. Dale Caswell, defending series champion. Another solid points night for him up here at Brockville.
Here are some highlights from a wild feature.
Dead even start for the top 2. Through turn number 1 and 2, and on the outside of the racetrack, Kyle Sopas looks good. Jason McCory goes over the bank, though. Hard contact for David McDonald down on the inside. Dale Caswell looking on Greg Bellier for position number 4. Down to the inside with a slide job off the corner. Caswell up on the outside group for this restart. He drives around his teammate Harry Halliday into 3rd, and now goes after Kyle Sopas for 2nd. And he's got some bite up there. Dale Caswell up 10 spots in the open tires, especially when it starts to slick off. Caswell, though, puts it back down to that bottom rail. If the top group goes away, you've got to be on the bottom off of turn number 4. As of now, Sandercock able to drive back in front. Sandercock pulling out to a car length advantage. Caswell commands 2nd, though, and puts it down to the inside rail. Sandercock able to hold him off, though, into turn number 3. Caswell again drives the R19 down to the bottom group. Unable to clear the leader, though. Caswell again peeks down to the inside rail. Has him cleared, but Sandercock drives back around the outside. You wonder if Caswell could have slammed the door shut. Still a lot of laps left to be done, and Caswell not positive that he had him cleared, and now may lose 2nd for it. Here comes Chubbzilla. Chubb Frank on the outside of the racetrack. Frank's right down on the bottom along with Charlie Sandercock for this restart. Now the 21-inch goes up high, gets a little loose, finding the cushion. That berm has moved up at Brighton Speedway. And here comes Chubbzilla. Reels in the 21H after they had to pass the lap car that was heading to the pits, and Frank puts it down to the inside. Almost had him cleared off at turn number 4, and Sandercock goes back around the outside. We got an incident in turn number 3. A couple of the top runners involved. Phil Potts, the 9K of AJ Kingsley. Bellier, who won his heat race earlier, faded back in the opening laps and makes it a 3-car scramble. The 1-star of Frank really starting to spit some fire out of the exhaust now. The car's backfiring, not handling right. Caswell down to the inside of turn number 4. That's a tough spot to pass, but Frank will have to let him go. Nobody in front of him as he works into 3 and 4. He has no idea. He's got a full backstretch lead. And off at turn number 4, Charlie Sandercock has a Go Nuclear Late Model Series win. Well, it's going to be a tall task tonight for Chubb Frank to get up to the front with the track being so difficult to pass on. Got his way into a battle for the lead, but what caught you up there in the final few laps?
We blowed a head gasket, actually, and the motor started going sour and ended up just losing power. But Charlie was not giving up that top, and I was trying to make him make a mistake, and he did everything he needed to do to keep me from getting behind. I needed that lap traffic is what I really needed, and the yellow come out right when it did. But it was good racing. He had fun. I had fun.
Final 3-4 laps, when you definitely recognize there's a problem, what's going through your mind?
Wow, at that point, it was already hurt, so it wasn't going to hurt it any worse. Might as well finish.
And you finished in the top 3, so still not a bad run from where you started.
No, not really. The car's actually really good, and we just got wrecked in the heat race and stuff. So, but it was fun racing. I'm glad it was 35 laps, and got a chance to get up through there.
And made a bid for the lead. Came with just a little bit short, but still a good run here for Chubb Frank. Rounds out the podium.
As Victory Lane ceremonies wrap up here at Brockville, we invite you to explore more about the series by visiting the Go Nuclear website for future races, air dates, and information. This race got done just in time as a dense fog rolled in and not only made Victory Lane a little cloudy, but canceled the other feature races left to run. despite the fog, the lights shine brightest on Charlie Sandercock here tonight at Brockville.